Hello everyone, welcome to my 10-day survival challenge. So I love watching these survival shows, as many of you do too probably. Particularly that show Alone fascinates me, but I'm sick of watching it. I want to try it. I've done a lot of significant things in the outdoors, but nothing quite like this. But I'm going to try and see what it's like to survive for 10 days with no food in the woods. So I chose 10 items to take with me off of the list on the Alone website. So here's what I've selected. First of all, I got my Helco Works German axe I'm pretty stoked about. I got a Silky Big Boy folding saw, a Leatherman fire steel here, snare wire, paracord, fishing line and hooks, sleeping bag, traditional bow, and I have this Dutch oven that the deacon bought that I'm borrowing. All right, so I know people are going to be worried about me while I'm out there. I am taking some safety precautions, okay? So yes, I am bringing bear spray, and I'm bringing a bear horn. I'm bringing a satellite texting device. So I'm going to be texting family and friends each day to let them know I'm okay. I'm bringing this field guide to edible wild plants. And I'm bringing a good first aid kit, but I've also doctored it up quite a bit. So I hope you can join me on this adventure. Hey folks, I'm on my way out to Western Pennsylvania for this survival challenge, 10 days. I got no food with me. I intended to bring a box of emergency food and I forgot. So I have zero food, zero water that I'm bringing into the bush with me. So I'm going to set up a shelter tonight with a tarp and get this survival challenge started. So I just wanted to run you through some things that I did to prep for this thing, just to give you an idea, a little background, okay? It's only been 2 months, a little over 2 months since I conceived this idea of doing this for my vacation this year. All right, so the last 2 months, I've been going gangbusters trying to get ready. I've been gathering equipment and gear that I need, mostly rummaging through my hunting gear and various clothing I have, and drug out my backpack and whatever, looking through all my personal gear. What I don't have, I borrowed or bought. Okay, so I've watched a lot of YouTube videos. I listened to a survival book and read one, so I've been like really trying to bone up on all this bushcraft stuff. Fire making. I've never really started many fires with a fire steel. The last 2 months I've been trying in different locations and in different scenarios, lighting fires with fire steel and with flint. Now let's see, handline fishing is something I've never done. I've been fishing all my life, but I've never handline fished. It's a little tricky. So more videos and more practice. I went to the Potomac River 3 times and fished, managed to catch a catfish finally. So it's not as easy as you might think. So anyway, now the bow took a lot of time. So I shoot compound bows. I've killed deer and groundhog with compound bow. But most of my hunting is with rifle and shotgun. So I really needed to learn how to shoot a traditional bow because that's what they use on the Alone show. So I got one for 150 bucks at Bass Pro Shop. Got some arrows, started watching videos, started practicing. Wore a dang path at the cemetery. I don't have a backyard. There's a cemetery behind the rectory, so I just shot there. And no one gave me a hard time. I was worried. But if they did, I could just tell them, hey, I got the pastor's permission. That's a little joke because I am the pastor. But anyway, yeah, so I also built a shelter at my farm where I go to hang out on my day off. It's a farm that belongs to a former parishioner. So I built a shelter. It took me about 5 hours. I'll show you a pic there. And I also built a bed in it. So anyway, that was another 4 or 5 hour project. So just to see what it was like, and I did it without any food. Like, I built that shelter with 0 food that day. So I went 24 hours without eating anything. I just wanted to feel the effects of hard labor with an empty stomach, because that's what I'm going to end up having to do. Alright, so next I had to tune the arrows for the bow. That was a little tricky, setting up a camera behind me and filming in slow motion to see what the arrows are doing and adjusting the knock point and the arrow tip weight. Alright, but I finally got them in the ballpark. I purchased all my Pennsylvania licenses to hunt and fish. I did 2 hikes on the Appalachian Trail just to get ready. One 3 weeks ago and one 2 weeks ago. So hoping that I'll derive some benefit from that. Both of the hikes were identical. It was just a 5-mile hike, but it was straight up and straight back down. So it really burned my legs out, which is exactly what I wanted. This isn't a super duper physical challenge, but it is physical. And where I'm camping, it's very steep, where I'm going to have to gather firewood. And so I wanted to get at least some physical condition. I mean, folks, I'm 55 years old. I'm a paunchy middle-aged priest. I'm not in the best physical condition, but I wanted to do at least something to get ready. I scouted out the property a couple times with Deacon Jim Muno. We went out there and looked around. Before I knew about his property, I also went to West Virginia to look at a piece of property I was thinking of trying this on, but luckily, and I'm so grateful for Deacon Jim to volunteer his property. Now, I also got off coffee. That was really, really tough. The coffee thing. So I can't remember the last time I got off of caffeine. It had to be 30 whatever years ago, and so it was tough. So I had to taper it off. So a month ago, I got it down to 1 cup a day. From my usual 2 to 3. All right, I got it down to 1 cup a day, and then 2 weeks ago, none. And man, I've had a headache. I had a headache for 10 days. It's a low-grade headache, and there's like pressure in my forehead, behind my eyes. It was just brutal. A little bit about my background, just so you know, like, I'm not a total outdoor noob. I've done some significant, substantial things in the outdoors. I'm not just blundering into this with absolutely no experience. So this is day 2 now of my survival challenge. I got here Sunday around 1:30, and it is now about 4:30 on Monday. So I got the shelter up yesterday, made some improvements to it today, and I made a bed yesterday. So did I sleep? Very little, with the sound and the rain and this uncomfortable bed, not my usual pillow top mattress. Yeah, it was fine, but rough night. And then I feel fine today. I'm just hungry. So I haven't eaten now in over 24 hours, and but I am hydrated. So thankfully it's been raining for almost like 20 hours straight. It's been raining. The gas can that I found, hence the name Gasoline Alley here for this little ravine, the gas can leaks. There's like little hairline cracks that you can't really hardly see with the naked eye, and so I was hoping on that as like water storage, this big 5-gallon container. But I did drink some Perrier on the way down here. So I had those bottles in the truck, so I am utilizing those. And I did get a fire going last night and was able to boil some water because I was extremely thirsty with the output of energy. I sweat up a storm yesterday doing all this, and thankfully I just got that fire going using char cloth that good old Dave Bisson, one of my parishioners, gave me. Char cloth, some tinder, some feather sticks, and just a lot of the Pathfinder Dave Canterbury ferro rod. So I was so thirsty, and I'm just so grateful I got that done. So I'll give you the dime tour here. Hang on a sec. So this is looking out from my shelter. There's the gas can. It's not working. My little fire ring here. So I just jerry-rigged this beam here and this beam here for this 12 by 12 tarp. There's my bed. That's kind of cool. That rock was just sitting here. It's a humongous rock, extremely heavy. But I was able to lever that thing up, and it's my kitchen table basically. So anyway, that's what I got here. Just to give you an idea where I am. Saw a couple deer up that ridge yesterday when I was cutting some branches, and they snorted at me and took off. So I know there's deer around here. So anyway, those are my waders hanging off to the right. This is home for the next 9 days. Hello, Father Larry on day 3. Last night I finally got some food in me. I managed to catch a fish down there. Just a medium-sized smallmouth bass, and I roasted it on a stick over the fire. But I dropped bits of it, and it was a sloppy way to eat the thing. So I'm gonna tonight take this group cluster here on my stringer of 5 smallmouth, 1 medium and 4 little ones. I'm gonna cook those in the crock pot and make a little fish stew, and I'm putting salt in there. I know that ain't one of the 10 items on a loan that I chose, but I brought it, and so I'm departing from their playbook, just a rule book, just a little bit. All right, making a couple little small modifications. Let's see, I processed firewood today, made a rosary. Let me show you this rosary. Just for fun this morning, I made a rosary to keep my spiritual life up. It's kind of a neat little project. So anyway, just paracord. And what else did I get done today? It's very dangerous out here. I mean, I haven't had any encounter with any bears or any coyotes or anything of a predatorial nature, but mainly either slipping and falling. Everything's so saturated. It's been raining in this forest for like over a week, off and on. So everything's slimed and slippery. Falling and cutting yourself with axes, knives, saws, fish hooks. I mean, there's so many ways to hurt yourself out here. I'm just trying to be as careful as I can and take it one day at a time. Hello, everybody. It's day 4, and not a whole lot to report other than I cut my hand, I've cut my finger. I told you how dangerous it is with all these cutting implements, and now I got my broadhead arrows out. Those are another thing to be careful of. Poked a hole in the top of the tarp with one of those things, just a pinhole. But all these sharp implements, when you're low on calories, low on energy, low on sleep, and it's highly dangerous. One exciting thing I forgot to tell you is that when I was fishing last night, I hooked something huge. I know this sounds like the one that got away story is some kind of fish story, but I'm telling you, I hooked something giant. Now, the night before when I was fishing, I saw whatever this thing was rolling on the surface. It wasn't acting like a smallmouth bass. You know, they jump and this didn't fight like a smallmouth bass. When I hooked it, I had it for, I'm guessing, 15, 20 seconds. And it was scary. Okay, whatever I had was heavy and it was powerful, and I'm not used to using this hand line. It doesn't have the flexibility of a rod tip to absorb the kind of shock of the fish's runs. But when this thing pulled, it came up to the surface and was flapping around. That's what made me think it was the same thing I saw in the same spot the day before, splashing around on the surface or rolling around, and I saw brown and pointy fins. What the heck is it? It's either some kind of walleye I'm not familiar with, some kind of carp or catfish. I really don't know, but it wasn't a smallmouth, but scared the heck out of me. And forgot to tell you the end of the story. Just snapped my 8-pound test fishing line. I was probably not being delicate enough, you know, not horsing it in, but I just don't know how to. It's not like you have a drag on a hand line. I am not familiar with using this thing. I'll show you what I'm talking about here so you understand. This is a hand line, okay? I've made a couple of these, but I had bought this one and I'm just using this. All right, so anyway, that's where your fishing line is. You're just holding it, and then it's really awkward trying to bring a fish in, and it's a slow process. I lost a couple. I lost a good one that way because I can't keep tension on it. You know, it's just much more difficult than fishing with a fishing rod. This is a little lure I made that I'm anxious to see if a fish will bite on that. It's a soda pop can with a little piece of wood I whittled on the inside, and then just steel wire, a hook, and some paracord. So I'm curious. The fish are really active and seem to be biting really well. So here's my dilemma. You know, do I keep on fishing? I've been eating fish for 3 days. I'm kind of sick of it, and I'm eager to hunt. But yet the fish are my most stable, predictable, you know, consistent source of sustenance right now. The reason I had some energy today to gather all this firewood here, you see, tons of firewood. Why? Because I had energy, because I ate. I ate last night 3 fish, and then this morning I had my leftovers waiting for me in the cast iron pot all night. Cold fish stew in the morning for breakfast. And I had more energy today to gather heavy firewood and get some things done around here. I could tell I felt better today. Why? Because I had some food in my tummy. So if I was to hunt tonight, that means I really can't fish. I don't know. It's really tricky. It's going to throw off my whole schedule that I've been in, but I'm like eager. I want to set up a hunt. I want to hunt tonight. I know it's a much longer shot to get a deer, but it's just a tantalizing thought. I just want to sit. I got some spots I want to try and set up with my bow. Which I'm all ready with. Anyway, that's pretty much the update here, folks. I'll see you tomorrow for day 5. Good morning, everybody. This is Father Larry now on Thursday morning. Got here Sunday afternoon, but anyway, I saw stars last night for the first time, and sun yesterday just a little bit. It was nice. Today is very foggy. It was very cold last night. So I found this piece of plastic down by the river. So I had dug it up out of the ground and washed in a flood, half buried in mud. But I laid that over the back of the shelter here to just keep the draft. It was like coming down right underneath and right over me. And it was weird. It was, heat coming from the fire one direction, and then this icy cold blast from the other direction. So I put on more garments last night. I was toasty warm, and I'm fine. I have more garments I can put on. So I think I can handle any of the temps that come at me here with what I got. But my sleeping bag zipper doesn't work, okay? Another just human folly, foibles here. I just came out here. I go to get in it the first time and realized the zipper's busted. I haven't really given a farmer's try to fix it because honestly it's been fine without it. In some ways it's preferable. My feet go in the bottom just fine. And then I just splay the rest of it over top of me. What else is funny? Last night, honestly, I haven't needed to reach for the bear spray or the foghorn or whatever, that air horn. But I reached for it last night because just for fun, really. I was kind of laying awake and I heard the stick crack, and I thought, I just want to sound that thing off and just see what it sounds like. And then it's funny, I take the, I pick it up thinking all I got to do is push this button. I couldn't get it to work. So I fiddled around with that for a while in the dark, and I got to wait till it gets lighter here. It's only like 7-something in the morning. I couldn't get it to work, and I thought that was pretty funny. That, if I had really needed it, I do think I know how to use the bear spray, because that's actually locked and loaded. But I hadn't really figured the air horn would be that hard to figure out. But apparently it is. What else is funny? It reminds me of when I was in Wyoming one time on an elk hunt, and I was camping on top of this mountain. And there were coyotes all around. I had my .357 Magnum next to me, and I guess I was in this sleeping bag. And it was so cold, we were just sleeping under the stars. My buddy was like 10, 15 yards away from where I was, but woke up with the coyotes in close all around us. So I had my loaded .357 Magnum next to me, but hadn't figured that I can't even really get to it. Because I'm like a chrysalis, a mummy inside this dang bag. I'm looking out this little air hole, this big. And anyway, that was just pretty funny. So I figured next time I'll have to just keep it inside the bag with me and stick it out the air hole and just shoot from there. Anyway, human folly. Today, I feel good about a number of different things. Number one, I got a fresh new charge on the phone because this battery pack that I brought with me that I had and I use, it works. So it was able to charge my phone out here. I'm pretty excited about that. But last night I got busted by a deer. I went into this spot, set up a pretty decent hunt, and I dropped my arrow. Yeah, my arrow was kind of knocked up against my bow, and the arrow fell off the rest and went clang, on the one of the limbs or something, and it made a metallic. That's all it takes to blow a hunt. So a deer, I'm just guessing a doe, but I don't know. A deer heard that and probably stood there investigating that sound for a while, and then probably caught my scent And about 15 minutes after I made that noise, I heard the hallmark. They make this snorting sound, and then I knew that I was the jig was up, and I was busted. I hung in there for a while longer, but anyway, that was a bust, and it's my fault again. Just that one little error, but that's all it takes. I mean, this is the hardest kind of hunting, traditional bow, on the ground, without a blind, without a tree stand, and you got to get within 20 yards of these deer in their backyard without any sight on the bow, you know. I mean, it's really, really challenging way to hunt. It'd be a miracle if I was able to kill a deer with this thing. But I want to try some more, but I gotta put food in my tummy, and that was my dilemma last night. I know if I went hunting, I wasn't gonna have any food, so now it's another 24-day period without any food in my stomach. So my stomach's been growling last night and this morning. So first order of business today, I got this giant log I had put on right before I went to sleep, and it's burned all night. I mean, just kind of like an ember. I added sticks underneath it a couple times when I got up to use the restroom, and it's still going. It's smoking right now. So I'm hoping that I can get down to the river here and catch some fish and get a nice breakfast in me, and cook my dinner at the same time and have that ready in the pot for when I want to eat later, and set up another hunt tonight. So really front load the food so that yeah, I'm freed up this evening to try another hunt. That's the update pretty much from here. I want to thank this young lady. 2 parishes ago, a girl in the parish made this pillow for me, handmade. And I've used it to, you know, cushion my head when I'm underneath cars. But I'll tell you, it's been money out here. This is a godsend, literally. That's my pillow. That's another little cheat on the Alone system. I have used char cloth that I brought here with me. That's a huge advantage to starting fires. I used the fire steel and tinder and feather stick and different things I've been able to find. But I am using char cloth in that rain. Man, that would have been a serious challenge to get a fire going if I didn't have that char cloth. I made some more char wood out of punky wood, so I should have plenty of that. So that creates an ember or a coal that you can get a fire started much easier with. In case you're wondering, in all this rain, how I was able to get fires started, that's how I did it. Hey, see that behind me? Oh, blue sky and sun. So nice. I want to show you my shelter here one more time. Here it is. I'll give you a view from up above too. See, I'm just in this little ravine. There it is from up here. So I'm taking you down to the river. This morning when I was walking down here, these rose hip bushes, I was checking them out yesterday, and there was a deer down here about 9:30 this morning. I totally did not expect that, but it was eating these, and I walked up on it and jumped it. So anyway, I guess maybe I should start bringing my bow everywhere. I probably would not have had a shot at that thing anyway, but But anyway, just nice, another sign that there's active game around here. I have no idea what's going on here. It's a turtle on top of a turtle. I don't know if you're able to see that. But is it mating season, for crying out loud? And what kind of turtle is that? And all I really know is a box turtle. I mean, it kind of looks like that, a painter turtle. I don't know much about it. Maybe somebody else can let me know in the comments. All right, so here's the river. You can see it's really overflowed its banks. The water level's high with all that rain. Thank God the fish are still biting, which is was my chief worry coming here after so much rain had fallen. I'm gonna take you around to my fishing spot here. It's treacherous in here waiting on these slippery rocks. Anybody who's done it can tell you that. There's my fish over there. Beautiful, huh? There was a misty clouds this morning. I should have brought the dang phone. But there were pileated woodpeckers flying back and forth across the river. And it was just really gorgeous. So anyway, here's my fish on the stringer here. Still alive and well. And what do I got here? I got a bass, smallmouth bass, and a catfish. Bass looks to be 8-10 inches probably. Catfish, 12, 13, 14 inches. So I'll probably just eat one for lunch and one for dinner. And that will be my sustenance for the day. Whether I have energy to hunt tonight remains to be seen. All right, let's get back and cook one of these bad boys up. So I'm back to the shelter and got my fish hanging. Now, I kind of pieced together what I suspect happened this morning. This ridge right here is where that deer came down, because I heard her snort back here somewhere at me. I bet you $5 it was the deer that was down there eating those rose hips that I jumped this morning, because about an hour before I jumped that deer, I heard a snort up here. So it came down the ridge, kind of let me know that it knew that I was here. Then it came down the ridge, down to the river down there, and was eating those rose hips. So I bet you $5 that's what happened. So luckily I brought another pair of waders, because I'm all ready for my fire here. That thing just blew out on me as I was leaving, you know, the whole bottom of the boot. That's a wading boot that goes over top of these waders. These were my nice waders. I bought in the Adirondacks fly fishing up there on a trip with my mom in the west branch of what the heck's the name of that river? The Sable. Anyway, those were my good ones. I got a backup pair that are kind of a Walmart special, but thankfully I brought those just in case. All right, I got the first fish on. This is my midday meal here. When I went down to fill up the Dutch oven, my little spot in the stream, I took the gas can with me, you know, because I had given up hope on it because it leaked, but I filled it up and to the brim and studied it. And I think I've determined 3 leaking points. Now, I think I brought this stuff called Aqua Seal. Just miscellaneous stuff I threw in the pocket of the backpack. So I think I'm going to try to fix that thing and salvage the use of that. For water storage is what I'm thinking. Anyway, oh man, am I looking forward to this meal. I haven't eaten in over 24 hours now. And in 5 more minutes, it will be the start of day 5. So 1:30 marks the time of my arrival. Boy, I'm looking forward to Wednesday. Wednesday at 1:30, I'm going to pull out of here to make it a complete 10-day cycle, 10 24-hour periods. I'm not pulling out of here until 1:30. All right, folks, we're going fishing. Seems like my routine here. These fish are keeping me alive. So anyway, haven't been successful with the hunting. Last night I hunted pretty hard. I might have got busted, but anyway, I just decided to take a shot at a squirrel, and I hit him and drilled him right through the skull. Like 12, 13-yard shot. So anyway, pretty disgusting. You better shut your eyes if you don't want to see these pics. But I cleaned them up and roasted them on the fire. So anyway, that was different. But it really kind of made me realize, like, there's nothing much to squirrels. I mean, golly, it was like eating a couple chicken wings. I honestly, I don't even think I got that much meat off of it. So I'm not worrying about squirrels at this point in terms of, here's the truck. See, it's only about 50 or 40 yards from my spot up the ravine here. So now we're going down to my fishing hole. Just keep talking to you. Back this way, there's a whole family of deer. I hunted again this morning. I hunted down this way. And same place I hunted last night. This morning, I went out there like 4 in the morning. I mean, what precipitated it was around 4 in the morning, something was trying to intimidate me at the shelter there. And like, I mean, a loud series of, it sounded like hoofs. I immediately thought bear, but it was loud stamping and huffing all together, like crump, 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 and mixed with huffs, deep guttural huffs. It woke me up in a jiffy. I grabbed my light, my headlamp, and the bear spray, and started saying, "Get the heck out of here! Hey, yo, get out of here!" Anyway, didn't see what it was, but analyzing it after the fact, I think it was a deer. I think they're just really upset that I'm intruding in their space. They don't like me here. I can see why. I'm trying to kill one of them because I'm so sick of eating fish. So anyway, I got busted down here this morning. I thought, since I'm up, I just put my hunting gear on and I went down there. That's a 10-minute walk, if that. It took me half an hour. I walked 3 or 4 steps max, stop. I mean, I inserted in the pitch dark as carefully as I possibly could, because I reeked the high heavens of BO and fish and smoke, and I keep getting winded by these deer. So sure enough, that's what happened this morning, even though I was about 15 feet up in the air on this ravine, steep ravine, a spot that I had chosen the last time I was here with Deacon Jim. I'm like, that tree right there. It's a great spot. And I got it's an intersection of 3 points, 4 points really. So anyway, I got busted by some deer, probably a doe, I don't know. She was stomping and huffing at me again. I've been stomped and huffed at so much. So I finished with that hunt, and then I'm walking back, and come to see right down here. And there's a whole family of deer down there. So I think tomorrow morning I'm gonna try down there. But let's continue with our hike here down to the river. So the first thing we gotta do to catch these ding-dang fish is get some worms, which hasn't been a problem around here. We noticed that last time we were here. And you kick around in the leaves, there's worms. Big ones and medium-sized ones. There's some more of those rose hips. I could probably make some kind of rose hip tea out of these, but I don't know. They have a mealy taste to them. Kind of tart. Maybe if I'm desperate enough. So I'm gonna go down here, kick around in the leaves, and get plenty of worms, because I lose a lot of them. I lose more fish than I catch here, I gotta tell you that. I'll tell you what, man, it's the hand reel. I already complained about how hard it is to fish with this hand reel, and also the fact that I'm using barbless hooks, because that's what they use on alone. That's the worst possible combination, a hand reel and barbless hooks, because you can't keep tension on the dang thing when you're reeling it in. It's hard to set the hook and keep tension on it. And as soon as you give that fish any slack, you run the risk of that hook coming out. So I'm having a terrible time keeping the hook in the fish's mouth. So I've lost way more fish than I've caught. Some good ones too. One gave me such a good fight yesterday. Oh my gosh, I nursed that thing. It was a smallmouth, but it was probably the biggest one I've caught so far. I'm guessing, I don't know, 13, 14 inches, but they're hefty, you know, with a big belly. And they're such a strong fish. Oh my gosh, are they scrappy. He gave me such an unbelievable fight. But I finally got him all the way in and lost him, like right at my knees. So let me dig around here. I'll show you how I gather worms. Doesn't that sound exciting? So this is the idea, the forest floors, you know, just got this forest detritus and leaf mixture here. I'm just gonna kick around and see if I can find some worms. All right, I kicked around for about 15 minutes. And look at that tasty feast. Oh yeah. Now I should be able to get, hopefully, if I don't lose too many fish, breakfast and dinner. Dinner tonight and breakfast tomorrow morning. That's the routine, folks. I'm trying to maximize these fishing trips and get enough for 2 meals. Light that fire one time tonight, cook dinner, let it cool for an hour, eat it, and then immediately get the other fish or fishes in the pot, cooking, and then just leave it hang overnight on the tripod for the next morning. It's not the breakfast of champions, but you know, you gotta do what you gotta do in a survival situation. You gotta eat cold fish. I ate a cold catfish stew this morning. It was one of the hardest things. It triggered my gag reflex, you know, but hey, this is what I got. I got no other food sustenance right now, and this is keeping me alive. Let's go fishing. So now we're down at the river. This is my spot that's been working for me. So here, we got a rapid over here. And it kind of washes down here, and there's like an edge, you know, I'm kind of working that edge because there's kind of an eddy water, slower water off to the side, to the right of the rapid here. So what I'm doing is throwing a worm without any sinker or anything. Just putting a worm on a hook, throwing it out into the rapid. I try to get it out there like 8-10 feet, into the rapid and then let the current take it down a little bit, and then I stop, giving it line and let it kind of belly out into this riffle eddy water off to the side, like right in that edge where I feel like the fish are going to be hanging out. And that's what's been working for me. So let's quit talking about it and get it done. All right, that one's way out there in the current. Let's get it down just a little further. I got one. I think it's a good one. Could be a catfish. I don't know. That thing just ran on me. Good size smallie. Getting them over to the shore. Oh yeah, buddy. That's what I'm talking about. Man, that's got to be 12, 13 inches at least. Dude, I'm pretty stoked. That's the biggest one I've caught yet. I've had them on that big before and I've lost them. It's the first time I played it all the way to the stringer. So let's get them on there. I don't feel safe until I got them on the dang stringer. It's a little stringer I made. Just had a paracord with a little stick. So basically I'm just gonna slide that thing up this side. Poke it up through the mouth, and then a double overhand loop over here, right there, and just put it through that. Remove my hook. Yeah, she wasn't hooked very good. And he is safe on the stringer, folks. Oh, I'm so stoked. Is that beautiful or what? Hey, everybody. So it's Saturday, which is day 7 or day 8. And I tried to hunt last night and this morning. Didn't see any movement. No sign of deer. So anyway, I feel like stink bomb out there. I feel like... remember that guy, what was his name on Peanuts, that was filthy, dirty all the time? Pigpen, with clouds around him. But, between, yeah. I just am trying to pattern them, but they are very elusive. But I'll keep trying. I'm determined. I have a few days left to try to get a deer, or I'm gonna run out of time. I need time to process it. So really Monday, if I don't have a deer by Monday, that part of it is over. The whole thing's gonna be over here pretty soon, but I would need 24 hours to process that deer and smoke it out and turn it into deer jerky. So I have fish left over here I need to eat throughout the day. That's that bass that I caught yesterday, and I had a little tape measure, and I don't know why I put this in my pack, but I did. It was in my doodad drawer, and I'm glad I did because I measured it, and it was just under 17 inches. I was amazed by that. That was a hefty bass, and man, he pulled hard. That was definitely one of the most exciting moments so far in this whole thing. So I'm going to be eating that all day, but I need to get some more fish today, so I got to get out there in the river. But I needed to do some firewood maintenance here, cut some logs, and gather some tinder. This morning's hunt wasn't totally unproductive, or shall we say unfruitful, because as I was sitting there in the spot, I set up down there where I showed you down the road where those deer were feeding in the road on this high grass. I set up just beyond it. I was downwind of them. I thought it was a good hunt. But anyway, no sign of them. But as I was sitting there, I looked down at my leg. Next to my leg is this strange green fruit or root or onion, wild onion. I didn't know what it was. And I kind of broke it in half and smelled it, and it smelled fragrant and just delicious. And I'm like, what in the heck is this thing? So I plucked one of the leaves, groups off, and brought it back. Pulled out my field guide to edible wild plants, and it's a pawpaw. And they grow in floodplains along rivers. That's exactly where these trees are. They're all along there. So I went and harvested a whole bunch of them, and I got about a dozen or more here. You can't even see them on the tree because they're the same color as the tree, so it's very difficult to see them up in the tree. So you just go around the different trees and you shake them, and then you gotta cover your head, and they drop on the ground. But most of these are not ripe. I think there's one that's good, but I just ate one, and I'll save the rest. I'll save the good one for tomorrow. I'll have something to look forward to, but there is a possibility that they can give you nausea. I ate it a while back. I feel fine. So I'm hopeful that I don't belong to that percentage of people that have that reaction to pawpaws. But I can't tell you, this morning when I ate that thing, it was perfectly ripe. The one I found by my leg. And it was just so satisfying to put something else in my mouth besides cold, salty fish. What else is interesting? I also went and plucked a bunch of those rose hips and made tea. So I just put this on the fire, and I tell you, that was another nice bonus for the day here. I drank that whole thing. So it was boiled, so it was purified, and it hydrated me, and it was kind of like an herbal tea with a bitter aftertaste. So kind of like, yeah, I thought it was nice. Not as good as the pawpaw, which is like a mango / banana, as terms of the texture, and very fragrant, like almost floral scent to it and taste to it. And then so I'm super excited about those pawpaws, man. What a boost to my morale here eating this cold fish. But speaking of fish, I got to get down to the river, so I got these tasks to do, and then get back in the river so that hopefully I can get in the woods tonight. I have a new spot I want to try. I'm just continuing to process information and gather intel on these deer and their movements and their habits. and hopefully get one. So I've had a rough day, man. I tell you what, this might be the low point. So, you know, I think I complained already about my back. It's just like extremely stressed. The middle of my back. It's not like it's injured. It's just like overworked, overuse type of injury where all the fishing, hunting, and sawing wood, it's just straining those muscles are just been under so much tension. And when you're standing in the river, for some reason that really irritates them. I can't do it anymore. So I barely got through yesterday. I managed to catch that one fish. But you know, every day there's just a repetition of doing the same thing every day, and things that my body is not used to, like standing in a river every day for a couple hours in that position. It's just under tension. Those muscles are just strained to the max. So I just can't do it anymore unless I rest. But I can't rest, you know, from fishing, because that's what's keeping me in the game. So I'm going to stay in the game by, instead of actively fishing, I'm going to try passive fishing. So I have some paracord here and set up these double hooks on this paracord. So I'm going to go out there, and I did manage to catch one fish today, but that's all I could do. It was just a little smallie, about that big. It's the best I could do. My back was so irritated, I couldn't do it. So I'm gonna go down there. I got them on the stringer. I'm gonna cut them up for bait and put them on these hooks, chunks of raw fish on these big double hooks. Heave them out there and tie them off on, you know, branches, but plenty strong enough to handle whatever might eat it. Be it catfish, carp, probably catfish, you know. But I'll tell you, the bass I had last night was the best fish I've had so far, eating wise. Second was the catfish. The catfish I had was excellent as well. So catfish might be on the menu here. I mean, I'm throwing a Hail Mary pass at this thing to stay in the game right now. Plus, I just threw up because I know. I should listen to what it said in the book, that wildlife guide to edibles, wild edibles, you know. It said pawpaw fruit can, if it's not ripe, can make people feel nauseous. So I ate that one this morning, and it was fully ripe. It was a yellowish color, and I had no problem with it all day. So there's a couple others. None of them are ripe except for two that seemed squishy and ripe. So they weren't, when I opened them up, they weren't as ripe as those other ones. The other one that I ate earlier. But I just called it ripe, and I ate it. I ate them both, trying to get a little pick-me-up, whatever, when I got back from fishing. Immediately started making me feel nauseous. And I finally just heaved. So between the back, throwing up, I'm physically, I'm on, fumes. Low energy, low calories, not very good sleep. And it's only day 7 of this 10-day survival challenge. This is where they get to these places, on that alone show. That's what I came out here to find the edge, to see what it's like, what they're experiencing. I wanted to experience it. Well, I'm getting a little taste of it, man. And I mean, it is rough. So, and I'm only on day 7 of this challenge. Hey, good morning. Sunday morning. So I got here a week ago today, and I got to get up, get moving. It's weird. I'm in the woods, little birdies and quiet. Normally I'd be desperately, let's see, what would I be doing? I don't know, making a last minute homily prep and or standing outside greeting folks after morning mass. It's very odd to be in the woods right now and all that's going on back at my parish. So I have Deacon Jim Muno coming by today. I'm on his property. He's coming out to his property to take care of some business of some kind. He said he'd stop by and see me later on. So he's going to bring me Holy Communion. And give me a weather report, because rain's coming in, I think, the next couple days. Let's see, what else is interesting? Speaking of birdies, I just had a little wren visit me, like 3 feet from my head, just looking at me. They're all curious as to what I'm doing down here in their living room. I'm sure the deer are talking to each other, communicating. I'm the joke of the community, the deer community. It's a chess match with them right now, and they are winning. 2 moves ahead. And it's kind of worn me out hunting day and night, morning and evening, for a couple days in a row there. So I because of my back, I just didn't hunt last night or this morning. I'm just taking it easy. So I got to finish this cold bass, this nasty cold bass here, and then go down by the river. The nausea is gone. When I went down to the river last night to check, to throw those lines out, I puked again, and I think I got the rest of that ding-dang paw out of my tummy. And then I felt better. But yeah, this is it, folks. It's actually a pretty comfortable bed. I'm pretty pleased with it. And I just sit here. The fire's right there. And I just sit here. It's a highlight. One of the highlights of my day, besides praying the rosary, is just sitting here looking at the fire. That's my movie and television. But it's mesmerizing. It's shifting and changing. I understand why it's such a mysterious and subtle thing. Fire is. So anyway, it's a very interesting subject, metaphor in the Bible and in philosophy, symbol of change, Heraclitus, one of the pre-Socratics. It's just a very interesting thing. You just sit there and stare at fire and flickering and moving. And, St. Paul says we're going to have our bodies. One of the qualities of the resurrected body is subtlety. And St. Thomas Aquinas compares it to a flame. So it's shifting and moving, and it can pass through physical objects. So anyway, it's very interesting. Subtlety will be a quality we will all possess one day in the glory of the resurrection, God willing. It's a good reflection for today on this glorious Sunday. It's absolutely beautiful here today. So if I don't have anything on those set lines I put out, then I'm going to have to go out in the river. So I think after I eat this jellified cold bass that I oversalted, I'm gonna go down there, check. If there's nothing on there, I'm gonna have to fish, with the back. So I'm gonna take Advil after I eat that and see if that helps the back. Good morning, it's Monday, and I gotta get some fish. So I haven't had any food in 24 hours, a little over. That's the third time that's happened to me, that I've gone 24 plus hours without food on this 10-day survival challenge, which really, I guess, is not unusual at all in these survival situations. And you have to learn to function with no food. I'm putting rose hips in my water now, just routinely. Just gives it a little tartness, something. Yeah, you got to slow down and just. I got no one else to share the burden with to, force multipliers. I got no division of labor here. It's on me to make this happen. I got to affect survival. I got to produce. I got to make it happen. So I just try to do one thing at a time. Lay there, think about what's the next thing I got to do. All right, just accomplish that task. Go about it slowly, almost on autopilot. Get it done. Maybe take a break and then decide what's the next thing I'm going to do and do that. Could be so much worse. It's a beautiful day. No one's shooting at me. I don't have to worry about stepping on booby traps or getting shelled or something. There's so much more. This could be so much worse. So really, I'm not doing half bad, all things considered. This is not that big of a deal. And we can function for a lot longer on no food. But it does, you notice, they get dizzy on that alone show, and I noticed that. You stand up and you get head rushes, and you just slow down in general. Now, one negative thing, I told you I was going to take you down there to check those set lines. There was nothing on them. I was down there collecting tinder by the river, and I just went ahead and walked over and checked them. All three of them were empty, and the bait was gone. So that was that. I tried. Hey, here's some rose hips. Hang on a second. That's what rose hips look like anyway. Kind of tart and bitter. So, all right, that failed. That's a negative. But on the plus side, Deacon Jim Muno came by yesterday with Dave Bisson. They were a good morale boost. And they stayed for a half an hour or so, 20 minutes, half an hour. Chatted me up. Brought me Holy Communion, most importantly. And took some pictures. One cool thing is, yesterday I just had a feeling I was going to get into some rain, and I'm so glad I listened to that instinct, because it rained about an hour and a half last night. A nice thunderstorm went through. Not too violent, but like medium. No heavy winds, but pretty good rain. So, that gas can, I don't even know if it's a gas can. It's a, see that? Yeah, that, I repaired a couple times and it didn't work around the corner. And I found this, we found this in this ravine, which is why we named it Gas Can Alley. This sure looks like a gas can, but it says Jerry Jug on here, Jerry Jug, whatever that is. So this repair held, and these two punctures with this aqua seal I had. But, down here there was a crack going around this corner, and the plastic's very smooth. and another gouge. I couldn't get it to hold with this aqua seal, so I actually used shoe goo. And I figured there needs to be a mechanical bond. That's probably part of the problem. So I got my Leatherman here, got the file, and just roughed up the whole surface here where all of this was. And I applied the shoe goo, and dang if it didn't work. So just in the nick of time, because last night I got 1.5 gallons at least. Let me see something. Maybe closer to 2 gallons in this thing. 1, 2. Yep, about 2 gallons of water, of rainwater off the back of the tarp last night. Oh. So I'm fixed for water. It's not something I got to worry about here for the next couple of days. I got a little over 48 hours I got to make it out of here. Yesterday I collected firewood like crazy. So I got all the tinder I need, you know. Nice tinder down by the river. While it was nice and dry after 4 days of sun, everything's wet again. So thankfully I went down there and got that, plus a whole trash bag full of kindling and tinder that's dry as a bone. I got yesterday after it had 4 days of sun to dry. Now I just went down to the river and collected worms, and I got a mother load of big fat ones. The rain last night, you know, tends to drive these things to the surface. So I got a bunch of night crawlers, like legit, really nice, plump worms in my container there, and I got to get some food. Like, this is critical here. That if I can get one more stringer full, like a full stringer of fish, like that might just be the ticket home. The thing is, that spot that I've been going to, I fished it for over a week now. I fished it last night. I didn't get anything. Except a lot of snags, because there's a fallen tree that's in my way now that's, I don't know, washed down. It's moved, and it's become more and more of a problem, and I keep snagging on it right where I need to fish. So I think I've kind of fished that thing out, or they're sick of seeing that presentation there. So I'm just getting less bites there. I've tried other places along the bank, and there's no action. So I gotta find a place that looks fishy. I'm gonna walk up the river and look for good water, read the water, and see if I can find another honey hole where I can douse these big, yummy night crawlers in there and see if I can get some fish on my stringer. I'll take you with me. Anything else? I mean, the only other thing I would say is I just wanted to mention that the rosary has been so meaningful for me out here. It's just a wonderful way to break up the day. And it's just a light, you know, in the middle of the day to pray this rosary. And I'll just share with you that the Annunciation has been particularly powerful for me. Because, I don't know, no greater good news can be conceived of than what that angel brought the Virgin Mary. This Jewish woman received this good news that had been foretold since the Garden of Eden, that one would come to crush the head of the serpent, that evil would be overthrown, the problem of evil will be solved definitively. It's the ultimate good news. You can't think of anything greater for all time and for all of humanity. And I guess the size, magnitude, scope of the good news, of the gospel, the euangelion, is just so awesome and inspires you with such hope. I know that's like basic, big picture stuff, but I just been really appreciating it, the good news. When you really stop and think about what that is, how cosmic it really is, It's stupendous. All right. The other thought I've been having is, just about forgiveness and reconciliation. Just thinking about the Great Divorce. This book by C.S. Lewis, I like to listen to it on audio. And there's one chapter where this guy who had murdered someone, he's in heaven. And anyway, he's totally reconciled with the guy he murdered. They're both in heaven. And the guy, the murderer, it was that murder that changed his life. Because that's when things began to change for him. And he embraced the gospel, the good news, and began to change. And he was in heaven. And his relationship, his rapport with this other guy, the victim, the man he had murdered, like all of that was in the past. Like total harmony and peace, shalom, existed between these two men now. And in that state, I guess that's what I've been thinking about. Like, just, yes, we're going to be reconciled with God. Atonement has been made. Christ has reconciled all things to himself. But, we're also going to be reconciled to each other. And I guess that's what has been impacting me, Because I just long to get over there to the other side and say I'm sorry to all the people that I've hurt throughout my life. To just make amends. And just from the bottom of my heart tell people I'm sorry. That I've sinned against by doing things or not doing things. And just have that reconciliation. And then anybody that's hurt me, I can forgive them. Can you imagine when all the redeemed in heaven are perfectly reconciled, yes, with God, but with each other? 100% freed of all of that woundedness, pain, grief, remorse, completely washed, wiped away. It's just such an awesome state, and it relates to the gospel. I mean, that is the good news. It's going to be we're all going to be totally cleaned up and healed when we get to that place. And that's really, it's an otherworldly good news. This good news relates to it's something far bigger than anything in this world. We're made for another world, as C.S. Lewis says, and the gospel pertains to that, eternal life forever. That's just been on my mind. Hey everybody, it's Tuesday afternoon. And I'm at the 24-hour mark here. In the next half an hour, it will be 24 hours and I'm out of here. There's the Freedom Bird waiting to take me home. Right down there, the red Toyota truck. Can't wait, man. I've been just entertaining myself with thoughts of what I'm going to eat tomorrow. It's a tie between Cracker Barrel's Mama's Pancake Breakfast or Five Guys Bacon Cheeseburger and Fries. First thing I'm going to do is get a cup of coffee. But let's see. I went fishing yesterday and I caught one bass. I didn't measure it, but it was about 12 inches. It was a good size. I got 2 meals out of it, and it gave me such a fight. Man, I cannot believe how scrappy smallmouth bass are. He jumped a couple times. I was a nervous wreck getting that guy in. And anyway, so yeah, I'm right now. I wouldn't say well fed, but I got some sustenance in me, and I'm hanging in there to get through these last 24 hours. So what I was gonna take you with me. I did yesterday. I went searching out other spots, locations to fish, but I could not find one that was comparable to my own spot right in front of me here. I did, but it was way down there, 3/4 of a mile, and there was a private property, no trespassing sign right smack in front of it. So I ended up taking a few casts here and there, but honestly, my spot's the best. So I made some adjustments, and the river level has dropped, so I've been able to get out past this. I've just been able to outmaneuver this fallen tree that's I've been snagged up on. And I managed to catch that fish, that one bass, thank goodness. So anyway, it was 34 hours when I finally got that bass that I hadn't had any food, you know. I can't wait to see what the scale says when I get on the bathroom scale. Anyway, so what I wanted to do, I'm wrapping things up here, and hope this doesn't bore you to tears, but I don't want to geek out too much on this camping equipment, but I do want to share some thoughts. You know, I started the video with, you know, the 10 items that I chose off the list on the Alone website or whatever. So I did take 2 items, really, that really I was supposed to choose between one or the other, but I ended up taking both because I wanted to experiment with both of them. This is a Mora knife, and just outstanding. It's got a little fire steel on the side. It's got a little sharpening stone here. It's a belt loop. I mean, this thing is the bomb. I just love this knife. It's a full tang, comes all the way to the end. You can beat on it, hammer on this end. Oh my gosh. Bang for the buck. What a sweet knife. Deacon Jim Muno, thank you so much, because he got that for me. Then the other thing is this Leatherman here. Comes in this nice pouch that hooks to your belt. And this is a good Leatherman. If I had to choose between these two, it breaks my heart. I would have to choose the Leatherman because it can do so much more. But I just hate the thought of not having that Mora knife. The axe, I have a sweet axe, this German axe. Just love it. I had to buy it. Helco works. And but it was useful on day one when I was making stakes to stake out the bed, and to make a digging stick, and you know, certain tasks. But then it went in the container, you know, it just went in the, I just stopped using it, and I just found it wasn't as useful as I was hoping it would be. I still enjoyed having it, and I love the fact that I have it. But yeah, that was, that's something that I would consider not taking, swapping out for something else. The Silky Saw 1000, outstanding saw. It's good for anything baseball bat sized and down. Maybe 4 6-inch logs. Once you get over that, it's too much for that poor thing. I mean, you're there for a long time, and honestly, that was what caused my back soreness, which with rest and Advil went away. I mean, went down some to a reasonable level, but it was the sawing with that thing, because it was just, man, you have to take breaks trying to saw through an 8-inch log with that thing. So anyway, the Dutch oven, not real crazy about it. I mean, it's heavy and unwieldy, and you know, holding it in your hand to try to eat out of it, it's really heavy. It's and it rusts up like crazy. It's all rusty, you know, and nasty. So I just for what I was doing here on this trip, I would go with a stainless steel cook pot next time. Snare wire, I never used it. You know, you might be wondering, how come you didn't try to snare squirrels? Because after I ate that first one, there was nothing on it. Seriously, man, I hardly got any meat off that thing, bang. And it's very steep terrain around here. You got to understand where I'm at. Everything is steep and straight up. And to set those poles up and lean him against trees and set these snares up for squirrel. It would, it would require tromping around and gathering these poles, cutting them down and prepping them with the snare wire, and then humping them up to various locations, up these steep hills to place them in logical points where I might be able to get a squirrel. And I'd have to set up, shoot, at least to have any reasonable chance of success, 8 to 10, to maybe get a couple squirrels. It just wasn't going to be worth it, the effort. For what you can get off of them meat-wise, when I got the fish working for me out there. So I just went with the fish. So the snare wire, I didn't use it at all. So that's a question mark for me, whether I would bring snare wire again. It just depends on where I would be. The bow, I love my bow so much. So I got a great bow and arrow set up, and I'm thrilled with that. Hooks and line worked out great. The fire steel, I got this Dave Canterbury special, man. This thing is the bomb, and just throws a spray of sparks up in the air. If you don't know what a ferro rod is, it's like a rod of ferrocerium or something like that, and it comes with this titanium scraper, and you just throw sparks into your tinder bundle or char cloth or whatever you got. All right, my sleeping bag was all right. The zipper worked, but it still was fine. Paracord, I had plenty of paracord, and that was great. Standard alone equipment, yeah, I really love Crocs. Are just a fantastic camp shoe. Everybody seems to be wearing Crocs nowadays, all over the place, but it's excellent. It's just such a simple design. My Red Wing leather boots are the bomb, man. Man, there's a nasty gouge in that toe. I love my Red Wings, and I love my Merrell boots, these nylon Cordura type. Everybody wears these things nowadays. So this was the perfect combination for me, this nice, stout Red Wing. I like this black diamond headlamp. I think it was 25 bucks. This was excellent. I've had a lot of the cheaper ones, but for this I got a little pricier one in order to make sure I had something good. All right, the extra, I want to just go through, this was kind of an alone light, in a certain sense. I have some items that would be considered luxury items, relatively speaking, to alone contestants. And since I was trying to imitate or simulate alone, I just want to be totally transparent about what I brought that was non-alone standard equipment. The Mora knife I already talked about. My thermarest here is a 3/4 length. It's believe me, it's not the most comfortable thermarest that's out there. They have camp rests and base camp thermarests that are just unbelievable. This is the one I took on the Appalachian Trail for 6 months, 34 years ago. So it's only a 3/4 length. It's okay, but it's more comfortable than you would think. I mean, I love the thing. It really took the edge off this hard bed. And I had this extra tarp, big tarp that I have that I laid underneath as my padding underneath, and it added insulative value. The pillow I already talked about, kind of a luxury item, none of these things are essential. The water treatment pills that my friend Rob Migliori, a Green Beret in the parish, gave me these, and excellent. They came in handy at a certain point. My spoon, where's my spoon? Just a simple camping spoon, but they're not allowed to have those on alone. They got to make their own spoon. It would have been nice to have a fork, but I had, at least I had a spoon. char cloth, I had char cloth with me. Huge advantage over those who go on the Alone show. I used flint and steel. I used, sometimes I made fires with the char cloth and flint and steel, or the ferro rod and the char cloth. Sometimes I would use embers off of the fire, the previous fire that were still hot. Sometimes I would just use the fire steel or ferro rod and just my tinder bundle, just the traditional way. So I made fires all sorts of different ways, but certainly char cloth is not something that they're allowed to bring with them on Alone. I have this trash bag that I brought. I didn't really use it much, but it's something to collect the tinder and kindling in. Various other containers. When I drove out here, I was going out the kitchen door one last time, and I grabbed a bottle of Perrier, and then I thought, I'm gonna grab a couple more. So I took 3 of them in the truck with me to make sure that I was fully hydrated when I started my trip. And I ended up salvaging those out of the truck, and those were pivotal containers for me, that people on Alone, they have to scavenge around their site to try to find washed up bottles or containers of some kind, or make them. So that was a non-standard type of thing. Any other containers? This storage bin, I brought clothing and equipment in. They're not allowed to have that. Salt, I brought salt. I tell you, man, if I would have done this over, I would take some of that Cajun spice, slap your mama, instead of that salt. That would have been really nice. But anyway, sealant, and little tape measure, they're not allowed to bring stuff like that. My waders is a big thing. Honestly, if I didn't have those chest waders, I would not have been able to fish that spot to produce the fish that I did. This whole trip would have been totally different. I don't know if I could have done it. It's really sketchy. If I could have made it out here without those chest waders, enabled me to get right in on where the fish are. With that hand line, you're very limited. So, but I was able to, yeah. So I'm so glad I brought those. But we're Alone, and my little Alone light experience merge, pretty solidly is on the food situation. In terms of procuring food, all I have was the hand line and the bow, and that's all they have, and whatever foraging abilities I have, which are pretty slim. So my hunger, issues and lack of food and sustenance is very much like the Alone show, and that's one of the biggest things. One of the defining, struggles, most decisive struggles for contestants on that show is not having enough to eat. Besides being alone and emotionally starved for their loved ones, it's being physically starved. It's just maddening. So the constant stress and strain of not having food, it makes this trip not fun. A fun little camping trip would be if I had a cooler here and I'd be frying bacon in the morning and with some eggs, and smoking a cigar at night, and having spaghetti, and kick back in a nice, comfortable camp lounge chair. This would have been a fun experience. But this was not fun in the strict sense. What I did, I knew it wasn't going to be fun, and I didn't expect it to be fun. I expected it to be tough. And that's what it was. So, was it enjoyable? Yes. Satisfying, gratifying, enriching, rewarding, all those things. But I didn't do it for fun. It wasn't fun. And would I do it again? Yes. This was a fantastic experience, but I felt like I really got to experience what the contestants on that show experience. I was isolated here. But solitude for me is not a problem. I really miss everybody, and I can't wait to talk to everybody. But isolation is not solitude. To me, solitude is being alone with God. And when I'm alone with God, when I'm in solitude, I feel the most recollected and composed in myself, recollected and composed in reality, in my mind, and in the presence of God. When I'm around other people, the hustle and bustle of everyday life is what scatters and disperses me. I don't know about you, but that's the way it is for me. So I can gather myself up and recollect myself in solitude. So I enjoy solitude, and I never feel alone because I feel the presence of God. So where was I? The other thing is alone contestants, depending on where they are, it varies from season to season and site location of each of the contestants. But, they have some resources that I wish I had. Like, first thing that comes to mind is birch bark. Dang, it'd be nice to have some birch bark. That's Mother Nature's ultimate fire starter. And pine trees, there's no pine trees around here, and very scant firewood. This is a forest that's been forested pretty heavily. So anyway, I had to struggle a little bit with that. And anything else? What else, while we're on the topic of alone versus my alone light experience here? Look, I had beautiful weather. I mean, some of the shows, they're coming in and it's already nasty. They end up having to deal with some pretty severe weather, as I would if I stayed longer. But as it turned out, I had pretty nice temperatures in the 40s at night, 60s, 70s during the day. So I'm really grateful for the timing of the weather. For me was nice. I had to deal with a lot of rain in the beginning, and of course, they're out there for longer periods of time. I mean, those who last beyond 10 days, they're out there for 30, 40, 50, I think 84 is the longest anybody's made it. 84 days. 54 days. If somebody, you can survive anyhow, if you can survive anyhow if you have a good why. I think Nietzsche originally said that, and then it was used by what's that guy's name? Man's Search for Meaning. I forget it. I always forget the dude's name. I read his book, but he was in the concentration camp. But if you have a good why, you can survive anyhow. So, I set the limit at 10 days. So, my mind is set on that expectation. I just want to get out of here at 10 days. Someone came walking up my hill right now and said, we'll give you $500,000 if you'll stay for another 44 days. It'd be a no-brainer. I'd be like, okay, you're on, buddy. New windows at the school? Heck yeah. Fix the HVAC system? I would stay in a heartbeat. So, that would help my why quite a bit, $500,000. So, the amount of time that they're out there, the monotony and boredom of getting up with very little stimulation in your life. There's no books, there's no music, there's no computer, TV, phone. I don't even have internet here to even mess around with my phone, and I didn't, by the way, at all. So no entertainment, no diversions, just you and sound of leaves falling. It's nice. It works its magic on you after a while. It gets you to a place. Of peace. It's like an old friend, because I lived with this for 6 months on the Appalachian Trail 34 years ago, granted, but still, it's like an old friend to me, being in the outdoors. 6 months walking up the Appalachian Trail. That's all I heard, and so I've bonded with this place. I just want to say that it's been like interesting. When you stay in a place for 10 days, I really feel bonded with it, and I feel familiarized with it. It feels familiar, and it almost feels like a home. So it's very interesting. It's kind of like I've been enveloped by this little ravine and this little natural community around here, and it's left an imprint on me. Anyway, that's just kind of a neat part of this whole experience. So the other thing lone people have to deal with is the constant filming. I mean, I'm filming some, but they have all this camera equipment they got to lug around and do so much more filming while they're trying to survive. Man, that's unbelievable. And of course, the extra gear that I had that they didn't have. But certainly, I would say I have a lot more respect for alone contestants after trying something like this. I have such respect for them, and I love them all. I just love and appreciate them. I think it's one of the best shows on television on so many levels. It is absolutely fascinating, and that's why they've done 11 seasons. So anyway, I'm a big fan of all the alone contestants and of the show itself. Hey everybody, so I am on my way home. I just stopped in Breezewood, got a cup of coffee at Dunkin' Donuts. Unbelievable how good this tastes. And I'm gonna go to the Cracker Barrel in Hagerstown, but I wanted to just do one quick video here just to thank everybody, Jim Muno, Deacon Jim Muno, for letting me do this on his property, gets the first thanks. Father Mattia has been a rock holding down the fort in the parish. The whole operational load has been on his shoulders, all the masses, confessions, and administration of the parish. So thank you, Father Mattia. I want to thank Dave Bisson for giving me flint and steel and just also a lot of good advice. He's an Eagle Scout in the parish, an experienced outdoorsman. I want to thank Christian Ziegler for giving me socks I'm wearing right now, actually, and fishing stuff. Thank you so much. And for Rob Amigliori, who gave me water purification tablets. He's a Green Beret in the parish. So thanks, guys. And I want to thank all the parishioners who've been praying for me. I asked folks to pray, especially the Palatine sisters we have in our parish. Said they were going to pray for me, and your prayers worked. I asked that you pray that God, the Father, open his hand and provide food for me at the proper time. The Juniata River provided the food, and God provided it. So I just am thrilled that I made it, and can't wait to get a good meal in me. But so next stop, Cracker Barrel.